Hey everyone, it's Aleem here. This is the walkthrough for question 11-22. The Denver Corporation manufactures filing cabinets in two operations, machining and finishing. It provides the following information. Annual capacity for machining is 120,000 units, and for finishing, it's 100,000 units. Annual production is 100,000 units for machining and 100,000 units for finishing. So I want you to notice here that machining is not at capacity, but finishing is, right? We're making use of the full 100,000 units of capacity in finishing, but in machining we've still got slack of 20,000 units. Our fixed operating costs, excluding direct materials, are $600,000 in machining and $300,000 in finishing. And then it tells you that your fixed cost per unit is $6 in machining and $3 per unit in finishing. Now, I will point out that $6 and $3 is an allocated cost, and depending on the number of units you make, that will go up or down. Each cabinet sells for $75 and has direct material costs of $35 incurred at the start of the machining operation. Denver has no other variable costs. Denver can sell whatever output it produces, and the following requirements refer only to the preceding data. There is no connection between the requirements. Now, the requireds are down below. Let me just quickly show you these. There are 6 of them, and what I've done is I've actually transcribed all of this over in the spreadsheet. So what we can do is we can just walk through them over there as opposed to kind of coming back and forth into Word. Part 1. Denver is considering using some modern jigs and tools in the finishing operation that would increase annual finishing output by 1,150 units. The annual cost of these jigs and tools is $35,000. Should Denver acquire these tools, show your calculations. Now, right off the bat, we know that finishing is a limiting, or it's at capacity. It's got a constraint. It's a bottleneck operation. So, however you want to word this, by increasing our capacity in the finishing division, we will increase the number of units that we can produce and consequently sell. Okay, so the increase in contribution here is going to be our revenue minus our cost, and that was the $75 minus the $35 times the extra 1,150 units. That's going to give you an extra $46,000 in operating income. Now, the incremental cost of the jigs and tools is $35, and therefore we're going to get an increase in operating income of $11,000. Now, I will point out, we're ignoring here the fixed costs per unit because they don't change. Okay, so those things are irrelevant. Be careful again. It's an allocated fixed cost, and it is tempting to try to include them in your analysis, but they're not going to change. Okay. The conclusion here: Denver should invest in the modern jigs and tools because it's going to increase both operating income and contribution. Part 2. The production manager of the machining department has submitted a proposal to do faster setups that would increase the annual capacity of the machining department by 9,000 units and would cost $20,000 per year. Should Denver implement the changes, show your calculations. Now, I'm not even going to do a calculation here. I want you to just think about this for a second. The machining department currently does not have a problem with capacity. It would be like a concert where you've got 1,000 people showing up to Rogers Arena, and you can put 18,000 people in Rogers Arena. Now, should we operate at BC Place that can hold 60,000 people? Well, the answer is no. We're not even using the capacity that we have available to us, so why spend more to increase the capacity? Okay? So the answer here is that the machining department has excess capacity. It is not a bottleneck operation. Increasing its capacity further will not increase contribution. There is therefore no benefit from spending $20,000 to increase the machining department's capacity by 9,000 units. Even if it was only $1 to do this, it wouldn't make sense to do so because we don't have a problem with capacity in the machining department. Part 3. An outside contractor offers to do the finishing operation for 10,000 units at $9 per unit, triple the $3 that it currently costs us to do it in-house. Now again, do we care that it's triple? No. What we really care about is what is this going to do to our operating income. So the question is, should Denver accept the subcontractor's offer? Once again, finishing is a bottleneck operation. Therefore, getting an outside contractor to make an extra 10,000 units for us is going to increase contribution margin. Well, by how much? 75 minus 35 times the incremental 10,000 units is going to give us $400,000. Now their cost is only $9 a unit, so they're only charging us $90,000. So whether or not this is 3 times or 10 times our cost, we have to look at the numbers, and we get $400,000 in incremental contribution margin, minus an extra $90,000 in cost. This will increase our operating income by $310,000. So yes, we should accept this offer, even though it is 3 times our cost. Part 4. The Hammond Corporation offers to machine 5,000 units at $3 per unit, half of the $6 per unit that it costs Denver to do the machining in-house. Should Denver accept Hammond's offer, show your calculations. Now, if we were to outsource this, do the fixed costs go away? And the answer is, I hope by now, no. Okay, so this is a fixed cost per unit. It's an allocated cost. Even if they were to do our machining for us, it doesn't make our fixed costs go away. Operating costs in the machining department of $600,000 or $6 per unit are fixed costs. Denver will not save any of these costs by subcontracting machining of 5,000 units to Hammond Corporation. Total costs will be greater by $15,000, in fact. Right, $3 per unit that they're going to charge us times the 5,000 units under the subcontracting alternative. Machining more filing cabinets will not increase contribution margin, which is constrained by the finishing capacity. Right, we can't finish them, even if you could machine more of them, and as a result, we do not want to take this on. Denver should not accept Hammond's offer. The fact that Hammond's costs of machining are half of what it costs Denver is irrelevant. Now, we may want to think about, well, why are they able to offer this so much cheaper than we can do it? Are they getting a better price on the equipment? I mean, this could point to some other qualitative things that we might want to think about downstream. But given the fact that we already own this equipment, it really doesn't make sense for us to try to do this with someone else. Part 5. Denver produces 2,000 defective units at the machining operation. What is the cost to Denver of the defective items produced? And explain. Now, first of all, machining is not at capacity, so the cost of the 2,000 defective units in the machining operation is the $35 per unit times the 2,000 units, and that gives you $70,000. Now, because machining has a capacity of 120,000 units, all we're going to do is just make those units again, and then transfer them to the finishing department. Ultimately, the finishing department is at capacity, and as long as we get 100,000 units to the finishing operation, we really have no opportunity cost of making that extra 2,000 units, other than the fact that it's going to cost us whatever it costs us, like the $35 to make them. In Part 6, however, it says Denver produces 2,000 defective units at the finishing operation. What's the cost to Denver now? Well, now, not only do you have to spend another $35 to make another 2,000 units, but you can no longer sell those 2,000 units because finishing was already at capacity. So this would then lower the number of units you actually have available from 100,000 down to 98,000. Or said another way, you lose the $40 per unit. That's the 75 minus the 35. You lose the $40 per unit on all 2,000 units. So we lose an extra $80,000, and now the cost of producing those defective units has increased to $150,000 in total. Right, so the 2,000 defective units equals the revenues lost by selling 2,000 fewer units, and that's going to give you $150,000. Okay, so when you're at a bottleneck operation and you have a problem, it can be a lot more costly. Thanks for watching.